Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 98 of Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we are going to make a calendar journal that we can carry with us. It's just going to be a nice small one, and what I picked up was this 2019 calendar from the Dollar Tree. Now this calendar is 6 inches by 6 inches, not counting where it is attached to the rings here. And so what I did was I just took my ruler and just held it up on here, you know, right next to the spine with just a little bit of a gap, and I just cut all the way through all of the pages. And so then I had my pages ready to go in my journal, and I took each one of them and I just folded them in half. So that prepared our journal pages. Now after I did that, I was looking at this. This is called a standalone, built with a stand calendar. And I'm also going to keep this bag because I think that this might make a cool pocket. So I'm going to set this aside to possibly put in our journal. But this standalone cover, you know, has this bottom on it so that it will stand up like this. I don't like these rings. I've never been a real fan of these rings. But what I was looking at was I could use this to make my journal cover. Now this is going to be wider than I want, but I'm going to show you how we'll make it into our journal cover. We're going to have to cut it down and adjust it a bit, but this is really nice and heavy. It's already got this on here if I want to leave this on here, or I can still cover it if I want to. It's lined on the inside, so I think this is going to be great. So I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to use this for my cover. Now, let's say you didn't get that one with that cover. You can use anything. This M&M's box, if you look at it, is exactly the right size in height. Now it's a little bit skinny, but if you were to cut this right down this spine, leave the glued spine together, and just cut it right down here, you would be able to then fold that out and back it with some cardboard or something, and you know, to support that fold. And then if you needed to, I'm not sure, I think if you cut it down the center, it would be exactly the right size. But then you could add a little bit of lace or something to make it stick out further. Or when you put the cardboard on here to back it, to support this spine, make that just a little bit wider. So, you know, you can use anything. The papers that I picked to make my journal today was this scribble pad that I got at the Dollar Tree and this sketch pad that I got at the Dollar Tree. I took 3 pages out of each one because these are 9 by 12. So I need a 6-inch page, and so therefore I could just cut them in half and I would have enough with 6 pieces of paper to make 12 pages. And then also I used the last 3 of these so I could use this piece of cardboard to make my cover with. So you can make your cover with anything. Even if I didn't use all the paper, I could still use this. Just pull it off the back. I do that all the time. I have so many pads of paper that do not have cardboard on the back. So what I did next was I took my pages, and I'm going to show this real quick because it doesn't take a long time. I've already done 5 of them, but I'm going to show you the last one. I just did some watercolor paper. And the way that I do that is I'm going to use green and yellow, and you need 2 pieces of plastic. This is just a folder, which actually even has stuff in it, but that's okay. And then just scribble all over the plastic to just get some of these are just kids watercolor markers. And then I'm going to put some yellow in there too. You really should do your lighter one first, put in your lighter color first, so that you're not contaminating the nib of your marker. But I forgot and started with the green, so I'm just going to kind of go between them, which is what I would do anyways. I don't usually try and overlap them. You just want some color kind of all over in different spots. Little bit of each, and then you're just going to spray it with water. Get rid of these and put your second piece of plastic wrap or plastic over the top. So I just have another one of these, and I'm just going to put this on here, smush that water around and smush that ink around, and then pull it off. And then just take your piece of paper and put it on there. Now what I do is the part of the folder that was this way originally, I turn around and put it the opposite way. So that way, if there is a big rim of water there from where you peeled it back, you'll, on the bottom, the big rim of water will be there, and on this top one, we'll have put it over here because we turned it around. And that just spreads your color out a little bit more. So I just put my paper between there, just push it around, and now I have this watercolor paper. And then I just go through. If you want, you can put more on here. Now see, this one's got a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red on it because I didn't wash them off between the last colors that I did. But I just kind of dry them with my paper. Now I don't care how much color. You can get more color on here if you want to. This is just a backing paper. You know, it's just so that we have it. So, and then we're just going to cut it in half. We're just going to cut it at 6 inches. And just line that up with the 6. And cut it. Okay, so now there's 2 pages for my book for 2 months. And I've already done the others. So the 2 that, because I kind of staggered my colors, I have 2 months that are still left. Let me see. I'm looking for my scoreboard. Here it is. And then I'm going to score these because this is now 9 inches across. And when I fold my paper in half, this is only 3 inches. So I could either just cut some off, but what I decided to do was I just scored it at 3 1/4 so that I have a little extra. And when you're scoring, make sure that you hold your paper like all over because your paper wants to move when you score. So just really hold it down along the whole line. So I scored it at 3 1/4 and I'm going to score it at 6 1/2. And that is going to make my cover or my pages 3 1/4 inches each side. And then I just fold those up. And that is one of my pages. Now, I'm going to have this as either just a flap or as a pocket. So I decided instead of cutting that off, I'm just going to leave that there. And so that's for October. I have one more here that I need to score. So I'm going to score that at 3 1/4 and 6 1/2. Let's see, my page really moved that time. And then just fold that up. And the one thing I like about the scoreboard is I don't really have to measure it when I'm making like double folds like this because I've got my measurements right there. So I don't have to worry about getting out a ruler and doing that. Now what we're going to do is the 2 months that need this green paper, we're going to put on here. And I'm going to show you how to glue your pages in just a minute. And let me grab a magazine. When I'm doing stick glue, which is what I'm going to use, I always like to just use a magazine behind it because you have to keep changing it or you're going to get glue on your other pages. So this is September, which needs a green page, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on the left side of my September page. It's folded in half, and so the left half, the back side of the left half is what I am going to put glue on. So I'm just going to use my stick glue and put it all over the whole thing. And then I'm going to put it in the paper that we just made. Now the one thing when I do stick glue is I always do the whole thing, and then when I'm done I go back and go around the edges. So the edges are the last thing that I glued and they're the wettest, just to make sure that they're good and wet. Okay, and then I'm going to put this over here and just line this up with my crease. And it also is going to go on the left side of the paper that we just made. I'm just going to press that down really well. And then with stick glue, I forget a lot, but I do like to burnish it down with an old credit card or a room key card. And if you don't have something like this, just a heavy piece of cardboard even, just to burnish it down nice. And then what you're going to want to do is make sure sometimes when you glue it like that, these pages want to stick together. So make sure that you open it up and that you don't press this side down against your other pages until this dries. And so I'm just going to do that one more time because I have to do October. And so what I'm going to do is just, that's why I like my magazines, just turn the page. And again, on the left side of my calendar, I am going to put some stick glue and then put it into our last piece of paper there that we just folded. And then if you get a place where it's lifting up later, you can always go in and just put in some more glue. But this gets everything put together and started nicely. Stick glue is not always my favorite glue because sometimes it wants to stick and sometimes it doesn't. Oh, here it is. I thought I lost my card. I'm going to go like that and turn it over and do the other side. And then make sure that I open this up so that it doesn't stick. All right, then you just set those aside and let them dry. Now once they're dry, you're going to start putting them together. So I have everything else right here, and they are all put together exactly that same way. The left side is folded, is glued down, and then we have this left over here. So the way that you put them together, which confuses me because I want to do like this, like January, February, March. I'm going to put 3 months in a signature. So January, February, March. Well, that doesn't work out. First off, March is the first one that shows, and only half of it shows. So you have to remember, okay, you start with January, and then you're going to fold it like this. And then put in February, and then fold the calendar over because you want your calendar to be all together. And then put in March, and fold that over, and this is where your band is going to go to hold it together. So that when you open this up, you've got January, and then you'll have an extra, the back side of the other page and the back side of this page, and there's February, and there's March. And then you'll have your 3 folded pages behind that. So that's how you put them together, and so that's my first signature. I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do that again. There's April, so fold April in half. May, get our flap out of the way, fold May in half, and June, and fold June in half. And so now this is our second signature, and when you open it up, you've got April, May, and June all together, and then you've got your 3 pages with your flaps on them. Alrighty, and so then we've got July, August, and then September. Now when these are drying, they're going to want to do this, okay? And whenever you have something that curls like this, you're going to want to wait for it to be, wait for it to dry, because then it's at its curliest point, I guess. And then what you do is you just take it, it's curling this way. So you're going to put a hard surface behind it here on the outside of the curl, I guess you would say, and then you're going to drag it across there. And I'm going to do it here. It's not going to work as well because this box is not super solid, but I do have a book under here. I'm going to slide this over so you can see. I'm going to slide my book out a little bit. So see, there's my book. So what you do is you put the part that is curled this way, and you're going to just hold it on the edge of that solid surface. I usually use my kitchen counter. And then you're just going to pull down against it, and then what that does is that straightens it out. So now we can put September in here. Now this is still damp. It's going to want to curl again. So now we have, and I always check them after I put them together to make sure that I have them in the right order. So there is July, August, and September. Okay. And our last one. Now we have October here. Again, October is all curled up. So on the part that is curled this way, I'm going to put it on the edge of my book. Just hold my hand nice and flat across it and just pull down across that, and now it's much better. Okay, so there is October, November, and just remember to fold your pages in, and December. So there is my whole calendar with my 4 signatures put together, and that's what we have so far. So the next thing we need to do is we need to have a cover. So I want to use this for my cover. And I know that this is way wider than I want, but I want to see if half will be good enough. And I think half will be good enough because I'm going to put some tags and some extra pages and stuff in here. But I think that that will still give us enough room if we only go to this halfway point right here. So what I'm going to do is my pages are 3 inches across. So I think that I want my cover 3 1/4. Yeah, I think probably 3 1/4. Let me just double check. I'm going to put this on here. No, my pages are that big. I forgot that I folded them at 3 1/4. So they're not 3 inches wide. All right, so I'm going to look at this and say, as I'm looking at it, I think I want to do 3 3/4 because I want my book to stick out a bit. So I'm just going to line it up, put some marks on here, and then I'm just going to use my razor knife to cut this. Let's see, 3 1/2, 3 3/4. Always make 3 marks whenever you want to line something up because you have a better chance of not making a mistake that way. Sometimes I'll put a mark at 3 3/4 and the next mark I think it's 3 3/4 and actually it's 3 1/2. So I'm going to cut this right here. And I guess I didn't have to make that line, but this is how big my book is going to be. And then I'm just going to take my razor knife and cut along there on the front and the back cover. And I'm going to leave this together. No, I'm not going to leave it together. I'm going to cut through the front cover because the back cover is going to be a little bit different size, and I will show you why in just 1 second. How far we've got there. Okay, so a little bit to go. I'm going to, I don't have a piece of, I was going to put a piece of cardboard under there so that, well, I don't have one, so I don't want to cut the back cover, but we'll just, I'm going to just do it this way because it's almost done. I really only have the inside paper to go. I'm going to just fold it apart. Just doing this. Watch your fingers. Because I just don't want to cut that back cover. Okay, so there we go. Now this is going to be the front cover of my book, and I'm going to put my pages in there and see how they fit. And they do. They're going to fit nicely with a little bit sticking out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down this spine right here because I don't want my book being this wide. You could make it that wide if you wanted to, but I only want mine to be half that size. So I'm going to cut right down the center, and then I'm going to glue it together, which is why the back cover will be just a little bit of a different size, because now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it on the back here to glue it. So now I've just moved this length of my front cover. I've moved it back by this much. Now that's not that much, but I would like my covers to be the same size. So now I'm going to measure from the inside of where these two came together. So I'm going to measure from this one here, and it's probably going to be about 1/8 of an inch different. So originally I cut it at 3 3/4. I'm going to go just inside. And yep, that's 1/8 of an inch smaller than 3 3/4. So that's where I'm going to cut this back cover from. So then they're going to be pretty close. So I'm going to say there's 3 3/4 minus 1/8 of an inch. 3 3/4 minus 1/8 of an inch, and 3 3/4 minus 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up. Whoops, line it up and hold it still, and then I'm just going to cut that. and I should have actually put cardboard under here because I think I just cut my husband's book, but that's okay because he gave it to me. He didn't want it anymore. All right, so now we know this is our inside cover, and this is our outside cover, and so there. Now they're much more even. I really made a mess of this one when I cut it that way, but we'll just fix that later. All right, now in order to attach these, I definitely don't want to glue this shininess. So what I need to do is get a piece of sandpaper, or even, let me see, where is our, I'm going to take this. We got this to do some distressing, and I'm going to take this. I know that's my front cover because it's messed up, and I'm just going to go across here and scratch this up. Well, it's not working as well as I thought. Let me do this. Now you can do this with sandpaper. You can, do it however, but you don't want to glue shiny stuff. That's not working very well. Let me get a piece of sandpaper. Okay. Yeah, whenever you glue something shiny, your glue really doesn't want to stick. And this is a book, and it's the cover of your book. So you really want to make sure that that glue actually catches well. Now on the inside of the cover, it's paper. So we really don't, and it's not a shiny paper, so that the glue is going to stick really well to. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of go this way a little bit. Sorry for the shaking. And there we go. And so now I'm just going to take some tacky glue and glue those together. And then I'm going to take a couple clothespins and put them on each end to hold it together and let it dry. This is the cover of your book. The biggest thing is you really, really want to let this dry. You don't want to keep moving it around and have it to where it gets kind of loose. So we're just going to slide those back and forth to get the glue everywhere. Line them up. And then I'm going to put a clothespin on each end. Oh, they're right here. I kind of moved things around a little bit because I made a toolbox to hold my tools. And I keep forgetting where everything went. Okay. Put that on there. And put that on there. It's fine. Squishing out the glue. There we go. All right, so I'm going to let this dry for just a little bit, and I will be back, and we will move on with our journal. Okay, I'm back, and I put those aside to dry. I decided to just put them all in a nice heavy book and let them sit for a while. But while those are sitting, I wanted to show you, we have the hair bands that we bought, and they're too big to hold our book together. So I know that this is where I cut my book off. So I know that this is how tall my book is. So what I'm going to do, I am just going to take my band and put it on there. I'm going to pull it just a little bit so that it's kind of tight, but it still has lots of elasticity in it to fit our pages in there. And then I'm just going to hold this up here. Now, each one of these bands has a little spot where they're glued together. I don't want that on the top, so I'm going to move this around a little bit and just pull up a little bit. Make sure that I've got some give, but not too loose. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take our needle and thread from our kit, and I'm just going to go right through the middle of that. And I'm just going to do that a few times. I'm going to go around to the right side here. And then I'll go around the left side so that I'm holding it both ways. Maybe I'll just do that one more time, maybe two more times. 2 times on each side. And I do have my thread doubled. And there we go. And then just knot that off. Now I can see my knot here because my knot was a little bit fuzzy when I tied it. I'm going to kind of try and grab a hold of that. There, I just grabbed a hold of it and kind of pulled it around. Now I'm going to put a knot in my thread. If I can. Go through and go through the loop. Whoops, I was going to do that one more time, but I guess I'm not. Okay, so now we have one. And I'm going to do this with all 4 of them. And then I'm going to leave those loops stick up the top for a while and decide exactly what it is that I want to do with them. Now, if I want to cut them off, then I would sew it better if I wanted to cut it off. And I'm going to try and make these loops, well, they don't really need to be the same size, different sizes actually. This one is much tighter than the purple one is. So I'm not going to make that loop as big because different size loops would be kind of cool. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them just stick up off the top of my book, and then I'm going to hook stuff to them. I'm just going to hook them to charms or something like that. I'm just going to pull that one up there till it's tight, not worry about what size it is compared to the purple one. And I just chose some colors that I thought would go nicely with my book. And these are what's going to hold our signatures in. I've got a knot in my thread. There we go. Go around the other side. And so that's what I'm just going to do with all 4 of these. And then I'm going to, after the book is dry, I will come back and we'll put this on and put our signatures in. So I don't think that we'll really do any decorating today, because that would just make the video too long. But maybe I'll come back and do a few supplemental videos to go along with this, as I'm deciding, you know, how I want to decorate it. But you're going to have the whole book is going to be made. All you'll have left is just pockets and tucks and tags and whatever it is that you want to put in it. And possibly you don't want to put all that stuff in it. You may just want it to be just a calendar with a few little pockets in it to put stuff in. So you'll decide how you want to do it. And I will be back to show you how we put the book together just shortly. I'm going to just finish these 2 up and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back to put the journal together, and the one thing I did want to show you is I did put all my pages in a book to dry when I put my cover in. And so remember that we glued it here, but there could possibly be some glue in this area or on here. So when you do put them away to dry, make sure that you, because there could be some glue on here or on here, you don't want these 2 pages to stick together. So put your parchment between those 2 pieces and then put another piece of parchment on top, and then do your next one again with putting a folded piece of parchment up here. So remember to put parchment anywhere that you don't want to glue together. So because I've done that before, and even though there wasn't actually glue here, it had got glue on there somehow, and then I couldn't separate them. So alrighty, so we're just going to go ahead and put our signatures together. Remember to fold your calendars together. So we've got January, February, March. And I'm just going to take my cover here now. And I think we'll just do that with the green one. So I'm just going to slide this over. Put in my pages. And I'm going to just leave that set over there for just a little bit because I'm going to be coming this way. So it won't be as much in my way. So then our next one is going to be April, May, June. So April, and May, and June. And remember that our band is going to go behind that last month. You could actually, if you wanted, put it there, but that would make it hard to get to this side. So this is, technically, this really is the center of your signature. So there we go. There's that one. July, August, and September. And our final one. Whoops. There we go. Is October, November, December. Okay, so I'm going to, once we get this put together, I'll show you what we need for next week. And then I will try and come back and at least show you what I'm doing, if not how I'm doing it. Journals take me a long time once I get to the pocket stages and that type of thing, the decorating part. So I don't know how much of a tutorial I can really do on that. So we're just going to slide all of these to the center. Let's get them on here and spread them out a little bit. Oh, and I actually put each one of them on backwards. So I will flip them around later. Remember how I said that I didn't want to have the little glue spot on the top of my band? Well, I did it so that they would all be in the center, and then I put them on backwards, so now they're all here on the spine, and I don't want to see those on my spine, so I will flip them around. We'll just spread these out a little bit. And then we've got our little loops there at the top, which actually looks quite cute. And I'm going to hang some things off of those. And then here is our journal. And it works out really well. Now what you can also do with the journal is you can take one of the folded pages at the back of this signature. And let's see, that's January, February, March. Okay, so this is the back of my signature. You can take that and you can put it right there at the back of January, so that when you open this up, the only one that opens up is January. So you can kind of use that like as a bookmark. I don't know if I really would want to do that or not, but just when this was flipping through and one of them was like that, it was like, oh, that would kind of work for a bookmark. So, but there we go. That is what it looks like so far. And I like how the cover is nice and sturdy. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed this, and that if you want to make your own, it will help you. You don't even need to make them this thick. You actually, those could be squished together, you know, quite a bit more with just a little decorating and tags in it, you know, so that it fits better in your purse. But once you put a tie around this or something, it, you know, it might be a nice size to carry around with you. For next week, the only thing we're going to need is the fun foam sheets, and that's if you don't have any left. I've used quite a few of mine, so I'm really getting low. So for next week, we will buy one package of the fun foam sheets from the Dollar Tree, and let's see here. So that'll save us $5. We had $9.50 in our bank, so that's going to leave $13.50 in our bank. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. So I hope that you enjoyed how this monthly journal turned out, or journal calendar, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.